please?
Donnie Tyndall, Morehead State.
Congrats on your season last year. What was going through your mind when Demonte Harpers hit that shot that ultimately beat Louisville in the NCAA tournament?
Well, actually, once he hit the shot, I still was calm and poised in regard to setting our defense to get ready. Obviously, we knew they would do something to try to get a shot on the rim at the buzzer to beat us, and having a couple great shooters like Mara and Couric on the wings and Siva so fast with the ball, my first thought was, how do we set our defense here to make sure take the ball out of their main player's hands? In that case, it was Siva. But once the game actually ended and the horn went off, the feeling of elation and joy and just such an accomplishment, obviously the biggest win in the history of our program, was so happy for our fans and our players. You really can't describe that feeling, but tremendous joy, no question about it.
What did that victory mean to your program and to the university, and what has it been like for you since?
Well, again, obviously, I think it was the biggest win in the history of our program, probably in any sport, to not only advance to the round of 32, but to beat an in-state power such as Louisville, gave our whole university a tremendous amount of credit / notoriety, and we have a great university. We have tremendous leadership. We have a great athletic department, and I think that win was the win that allowed us to gain some exposure for all those people involved, and it'll certainly be a win that goes down in history for Morehead State.
Obviously, you can't replace a player like Kenneth Faried. You have 3 returning starters and 9 newcomers on this year's team. How do you fill the void left by Faried?
Well, I've been asked that question 100 times. How do you fill the void of Kenneth? And I say the same thing. With 10 guys, unfortunately, we can only play 5. So no one person is going to replace a guy like Kenneth. His position will be filled by 3 or 4 different guys, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them will step up as the year moves along. Our team certainly will be more perimeter-oriented than it was last season, and with 2 of the starters you mentioned returning being senior guards, we'll become more of a perimeter-oriented team and depend on Terrence Hill and Ty Profit much more.
What do you think about the conference this year?
Well, it seems like I say this every year, and sometimes it's probably taken as coach speak, but I really believe this is the best the conference has ever been. When you talk about Austin Peay returning 4 of their 5 starters and have a guy healthy like Campbell returning to their team, they're, in my opinion, along with Tennessee Tech, the co-favorites. Tech returns about everybody from their team with preseason player of the year, Kevin Murphy. They have depth, athleticism, talent. Murray State is always good when you talk about a guy like Isaiah Cannon can take games over and score in bunches. Tennessee State is much improved, returned 5 starters and had 3 good players sitting out. So our league from top to bottom is going to be the best it's ever been.
What do you like most about your team this year?
Not a whole lot at this point, but I do like Hill and Profit's leadership. They're senior guys that have showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit. They're trying to get the newcomers to come along quickly. Unfortunately, we have probably the most challenging schedule we've had in my tenure at MSU. And guys need to work harder, come around quicker, and buy in. And that's not easy for freshmen and new guys with understanding the pace and tempo in which we practice. So it's been a tough preseason to this point, but I do think at some point in time it'll click. And we're talented enough to be competitive. We're certainly not the most talented team in our league, but if we can get it going on all cylinders, I think we can be competitive in OVC.
What's the biggest challenge for your team this year?
Well, I think 2 things. Point guard play, number 1. We have a senior in Lamont Austin who was a backup so far in the preseason. He's been banged up with injuries a little bit. His conditioning isn't where it needs to be. We have 2 junior college point guards we signed that have been slow to grasp our system and what we're trying to do. And a freshman point guard who has been good one day, bad a couple days, good one day, bad a couple days. So we have to have 1 or 2 of those point guards step up and solidify themselves at that position. In my opinion, it's the most important position on the floor. And then second thing would be rebounding the basketball. Obviously, you lose the best rebounder to ever play college basketball. that's going to leave a hole to be filled. I think we have a physical team, a big team, but we aren't a great athletic front line. We have athletic wings and guards, but our bigs are going to have to be physical and block out every night.
Tell us about your non-conference schedule.
Well, as I mentioned, it's very, very challenging. We go to North Carolina State as part of a tournament, also involved in that tournament. We go to Bucknell and play Bucknell, who's picked to win their league and was an NCAA tournament team a year ago. We also play Princeton in that field, who was an NCAA tournament team a year ago. In addition to those 3 games, we go to West Virginia and play Coach Huggins and the Mountaineers, which is always challenging. Then we go to Kent State, who's picked to win the MAC. We have Ball State at home, who's picked to win their side of the MAC. We go to College of Charleston, who's picked to win their league. It's a very, very challenging schedule. I know I'm losing or keeping a few out, but it's going to be a tough non-conference slate, that's for sure.